have you seen Thor: Love and Thunder? If so, this is the place to go. If you have friends who haven't seen it or just looking for a place to talk about it, we're the guys. And this is basically a conversation between me and my cousin talking about Thor: Love and Thunder. It's something we do anyway all the time. And we both really wanted to get into some type of YouTube in any way. And this is something that's just so natural for us, we couldn't really pass up. So if you like everything you see and you maybe have different opinions than us in the video and our conversation, please let us know. Throw it in the comments. Other than that, thanks for checking us out. But we'll get into that later. We got a lot to talk about with Thor, at least. So, dude, what was your, like, when you watched it? I know you're into the comics. You know more of like the in-depth details that should have been there, and I had a few that I know that kind of bugged me. But what were your initial thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder?
Uh, Overall, man, like a rating,
I
I
mean,
think
yeah, how'd you
Thor,
like it?
I think Thor: Love and Thunder, man. Out of a rating, bro, I'd probably give it about 7.5
I'm
out
cool
of
with
10.
that. I
And,
and
and the reason for that, man, is I feel like they tried to stick to the comics
dude,
on that film, but
they
they
shouted.
kind of didn't.
They didn't at all, but well, they did in some ways. But
That's what I'm saying. Like in
they
some ways,
they more of shouted out to the comic. They more of like head nodded at the comic instead of actually adapting the story. But the story from the comic is really awesome. So uh, I like the movie. It literally made me laugh out loud probably like 5 or 6 times. And movies don't really do that with me. You know, it's like when you go to see a comedy and it's just kind of like asking for it. Yeah, you know, you're gonna laugh because you're in the mood to laugh. But you know,
right?
going to see Thor and Guardians, I wanted more Guardians of the Galaxy. It was more
I like
important.
the intro, dude. I did like the intro with the Guardians.
I'm gonna
That was good.
complain. I'm gonna complain about the intro because I wanted more Guardians.
I did too, but I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's coming.
Oh, so yeah.
We,
Spoiler alert! Fucking the intro is just the fucking. It's just the Guardians of the Galaxy
all right,
theme.
all right. So
I
this
want
is
that movie. I want the movie with all of that in between.
this is one thing, dude, that I'm gonna point out. Um, in the comics, all right, when Gore finds the gods that are fighting before he gets the Necro Sword, the god in the movie, that gold god, he was actually the one on the ground screaming for help, and Null was the one in the air coming down. It's like he wasn't finished with him yet, bro. And Gore actually got pissed in the comics, bro, because the gods were asking him for help. And in the film, it was kind of like he kind of, just slowly just didn't get angry, didn't show no real
Dude,
emotion, just
they rushed Gore. I know it's hard to give like somebody an origin story, but if there's any villain that you're gonna chain through a bunch of movies, it would probably be Gore, because he's just
yeah.
so powerful. And actually, there's one detail about Gore that really upset me. Was well, it's not even about Gore. It's the Necro Sword. The Necro Sword was so disappointing for what it could have been. Like the Necro Sword could have introduced Null into the MCU. Like that.
Yeah, no was dead on the ground, bro. Like at the beginning of the film, he was just dead on the ground, got killed.
That
But
could not have been Null.
bro, they said it. That's no.
No, they had to rip from the. That can't be Null.
I
No, I refuse.
refuse.
God of the
I,
fucking symbiotes can't die to some like fat dude on a dust planet. Okay, chilling in an oasis with some like having a flower orgy. Like
I agree. I agree. I agree.
you can't do that.
You
Was not
know,
Null. That was some random
want to be
individual.
no.
That was a
That was
wannabe.
no. That was totally no Necro Sword, but that wasn't.
However, he looked how I thought Gore should have looked, just like wrapped in this black coating where he's like kind of
Yeah.
shiny, almost like. I was like, okay, cool, maybe that will like consume him, and but it didn't.
No. I think Christian Bale did a decent job as Gore.
I didn't
Um,
mind Christian Bale at all. He was scary.
I didn't mind him, especially the scenes where he's actually in the Shadow Realm. He's dude, he's a whole different character versus when he's hunting the gods. You know, like his personality, right? Like when he's with those kids, you can see the evil and hear the sinister voice. You know what I mean? You can see it's pure evil, bro. But then when he's fighting the gods, it's almost like
He's joking, dude. He's
he's
teasing,
joking, but
taunting. Yeah.
yeah, but it's not. But he can't scare them. They're not scared of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It,
they literally said
I guess
we're a
what I
little
say.
scared. Thor was like, "How are you guys doing?" And the kids were
I
like,
guess
"We're a little scared. We're in the shadow realm,
yeah,
surrounded by monsters that appear out of the dark, and we're surrounded in darkness. We're a little scared," is how the kids said it. I'd have been
pretty
fucking
much,
terrified. I'd have been shitting
pretty
bricks,
much.
dude. But anyway, yeah, we digress. Uh,
They handled it well. They
I
all
did.
got a little power of Thor to go with it too.
I well, dude, I actually didn't like that. I wanted to talk to you about that. I didn't really like that he was just like, oh, but here's a bunch of little more Thors, kids.
I
Why didn't he do
when that
that at any point before?
right.
Thanos fights. You could just bless the army and have an army of fucking Thors. Is this a new thing? I don't know. Like maybe in the comics, does he just like bestow? I know there's more Thors in the comics, but there's no just like bestowing the power of Thor on people, from what I know.
Right, right.
I could be wrong on that, but from what I know, that shit was wild. It didn't make any sense to me. And I was like, I understand like a kid seeing this movie and being like, hell yeah, that's the coolest fucking thing in the world. So I did kind of like, like I could understand that if I was a kid, that part would be badass. But for me, I was like, ah. So the kids fight the giant scary insects? Because
My thing, bro. My thing with the point with that is, I like the scene in the moment, right? I thought it was pretty dope in the moment, but
right.
after the movie, when you start thinking about everything and you're coming to your conclusions, I was like, not only did it remind me of like why didn't they do that in any other fucking
Any
movie,
other
right?
scene. It could have been
But
useful every battle.
then again, it's like I feel like that movie in general had a bunch of fucking different Thors in it. You know, you had Jane Foster's Thor, Mighty Thor. You had Thor.
Or
You had a
Baby
bunch of
Thor.
little kid Thors. Right, like you had a few different Thors, man.
Well, it opened the idea that there's other Thors. Like I'm sure
Yeah, yes,
the average
and there
Marvel
is.
fan doesn't know that there could be two. So for them, Jane Foster becoming a Thor would be like a big surprise. But
Right, right.
for the nerds like us, we're like, yeah,
We knew
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And dude, there is a lot more Thors to come. Trust me.
yeah. Well, dude, in
But
Loki, there's actually the Frog Thor. There's what's his
yeah,
name? Throg, or
Throg. Yeah,
his name's Throg, and he's like a tiny frog Thor who like a piece of Mjolnir breaks off, and this little frog gets a piece of it, and even this frog becomes a little Thor. So literally anything could become a Thor, but you have to be worthy of becoming a Thor. Is
right.
from what I had from the idea. But in the movie, Thor was just like, Thor, everybody, and it just was okay. But
Tell me what you thought about when he threw the lightning bolt through Zeus. Did you think Zeus actually? Spoiler alert. Did you think he actually died?
well,
In the
another spoiler.
moment, I
In the
thought he
moment, I
actually
thought he
died.
just murked on Zeus. I was like,
Yeah,
what? This dude just dunked on Zeus like that. Like, he just caught his bolt and threw it through him. Like,
yeah,
Zeus is nothing. This dude who came in with this huge spectacle, I want to get on Zeus, bro. I got a lot to talk about with Zeus. But, he's doing this whole spectacle. He's like a god of gods type deal. Look, like, that's how he appears. And, he just gets easily capped on like that. Like,
not only that, bro, but it really bothered me how Zeus was so selfish. He was so in denial, bro. Just, oh, he'll never reach what was it? The fountain. He'll never reach the fountain.
Well,
And
I can't remember the name either.
but at the
Eternity.
same
He can't reach
eternity, he can't reach eternity, right? But at the same time, he knew Gore had murdered a bunch of gods, killed them,
but
but he'll never make it here.
his small argument of, oh well, those are lower level gods.
Yeah.
So that guy who but he got like killed by Thor. You know, like
Right.
So what's Thor? Like Thor's supposed to be kind of a lower level. He joined the Avengers. Like you're not a great god if you got to go join a human fighting team. Okay, like it's just not. But when you hear Zeus, you're like, oh, that's got to be one of the top. But no,
Right.
he got wrecked. Thor. Also, Korg is one of my favorite characters. They should have killed him. They should have It hurt my chest when I saw him explode and crumble. I was genuinely upset when Korg was dying. But then they picked up his face, and everything after that, what'd they do to my boy, man? They just ruined my boy. My boy's a gay rock.
Right.
Like, he's just a giant gay rock now. And it's like, all right, look, I have no problem with
No, he's just a gay face.
He's just a gay face. I guess, I don't know. I don't think Korgs have females. I don't know.
They don't. He even said it, bro. The only way to make a baby is you gotta
find a dude.
Yeah.
Go down to a lava pit.
Yep.
I like how the dude he found has like a big ass mustache.
Right.
He looks like the Freddie Mercury of rock people, you know.
That's
God
hilarious.
damn it, Korg. But no, when he got killed, it really disappointed me. It was like a real emotional move. But then when they picked up his face, it like erased it. You know, so it was like, oh, he's not dead. So it was like, oh, you toyed with me for 10 seconds, but why would you do that to my boy Korg? You know? Like what? So
Right.
The only way to kill Korg is to smash their face?
Pretty much.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
And how did
guess,
Korg not know this? And how come in Thor Ragnarok, never mind. Why wasn't there more surviving Korgs? It doesn't matter. Anyway,
Right.
we could talk for 15 minutes about Korg alone. I love the dude who plays him. I do not remember his name. I've seen him in other shows, and he's in a pirate show. But I fucking love the guy who plays him. One of my favorite characters. I don't care that he's a gay rock.
I don't care if he's gay rock.
I,
Hey, bro, he's a
on the
cool gay
subject-
rock.
I gotta actually say something on Zeus because I don't want to go too far from Zeus. Zeus mentioned orgies twice, 3 times, 4 times. He's like, if you say it again, you're not invited to the orgy. He's like, no, we need help. He's like, oh, you're not going to the orgy. So that means there's a Marvel hero-gasm. There's a Marvel godgasm where all the gods just get together in orgy. So that's pretty amazing to think of, but really confusing when you look at the ending with a bunch of kids being the heroes. You know, it's like, oh, cool, all these kids are the heroes, but they're talking about orgies and okay, whatever. But they definitely talked about orgies. So there's definitely god orgies confirmed. Has Thor ever been to a god orgy?
You know, this is one thing there that I need to touch on too. I'm sure to answer your question, I'm sure Thor has probably been to more than one god orgy.
Plenty. Thor's been all about some god orgies.
He's been around, you know.
That's why he didn't want to be invited. He already knows.
Yeah, he's been there, done that.
Been there, did that, bro. It's not that great.
But this is one thing, man, that I do want to touch on is Heimdall's son, man.
Astrid. I'm sorry, Axel.
Axel, yeah. He's got to be Axel, bro.
Okay,
but,
ooh.
Are we looking at
Axl
another
Rose.
future? Are we looking at another future Heimdall, bro?
Yeah,
Do you think he'll eventually harness that power and be able to control the Bifrost?
Out of all the kid heroes, like Miss Marvel, like Hawkeye's daughter,
Just to set the record straight, man, I'm not a fan of Miss Marvel.
Don't like it at all. But
Yeah.
anyway, with all these like kid heroes that are coming up, he's like the most hopeful for me. He seems the coolest. I love Heimdall. I love like his story where he's an Asgardian. He's the son of Heimdall, and I've always loved Heimdall. So to see like a son figure come up and take a spot, I would love. I'm cool with it, and I would probably
Definitely,
watch it.
definitely,
Um,
definitely.
but
I
I
think
loved
I
it.
think he's got
He's
a
gonna.
long way to go, but
I would watch
it's
that
great to
movie.
think that they're going in a direction where they're having the descendants of these characters to keep that character
Right.
going. It's
Yeah.
like it's not Heimdall, but it's the same character. Just you
Yes.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's I really dig that, man, because it's almost like Wanda has kids. There's multiple superheroes. Clint has kids. You know, there's multiple heroes who have kids that end up becoming heroes.
Right.
You know,
Or potential villains.
or potential villains. Very true. I really did like the fact that they incorporated Greek mythology. Um,
They did it all. They talked about Ra, Egyptian. They
yeah,
brought
they did
they
everything.
they brought all the gods in you could imagine.
But I gotta say, man, and this is another spoiler alert. When I got a glimpse of Hercules, man, I,
You
I was
said
like,
it.
bro, is that the guy you're gonna have play Hercules? He like you realize the fucking Dwayne Johnson played Hercules. You got some shoes to fill, man, and
As
that
far as
it,
yeah, as far as
it,
physique, size,
physique,
power,
right?
yeah.
Like, bro, this is Hercules,
I'm not
man.
trying to body
And
shame this dude because he had a great
no,
looking body. No homo. He had a great
no,
looking body.
he does. But when you
But
think Hercules, you're thinking
I did not think him
bodybuilder, rock solid. You
massive,
know
big boy.
exactly. You're not thinking somebody who's lean, mean, fighting machine.
I didn't
You
even
know,
notice his arm muscles. The only thing I noticed was the hair on his chest. And that is not what you're supposed to notice for Hercules. When you see Hercules,
right?
you're supposed to see a muscular, masculine demigod, a man
Yeah.
half god who can catch concrete pillars and fight
And dude, I'm
titans.
sorry, but when you look at the comic book version, all right, and we're gonna pull up a comic book version of Hercules for you guys. But when you look at a comic book version of Hercules and put them side by side, this dude is no comparison. And to me, I was kind of turned off by the casting director who casted this guy. Like,
And
I
and
mean,
they
what
hit
were
it
you
like it was a
thinking?
big reveal or something.
No, no, it's not a big reveal. But look, I don't think
Maybe they'll turn
I'm
him
no
into like a
casting.
joke character, you know?
Maybe I'm no casting director. All right, but if you're gonna be the guy, all right, that's gonna go after the god of thunder, and you're a demigod, and he is a full blown god, I would assume you are
Who
on
just took out
par,
your dad
right?
with
Um,
really easily.
yeah, with ease. I just want to assume uh, that in future films you're gonna bulk the fuck up.
I hope so.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, you
it,
better
it's
put on some platformers, dude. You better Tom Hardy that shit and wear some tall
it,
boots and make yourself look big.
seriously.
Maybe that was
I
it.
mean,
Maybe they gave us one of those catfish angles and he just didn't look as big as he actually is. You know, I don't know.
no,
I don't.
he's that big, bro. If you go to his IMDb page, he's that, But it's like,
I
I
did the
mean, dude,
research.
when you think about Hercules, man, you're thinking about this big individual, that could lift a fucking bus. All right. When I saw that guy, his helmet was bigger than his face. You're not supposed to see that. It's supposed to all fit together, man. You know what I'm saying? And your helmet looks like as soon as you raise that axe, it's gonna
All
cover your
right.
fucking eyes.
Before we
You know
start,
what I mean?
yeah, I agree with you. I was underwhelmed by Hercules, but this was just like literally a 5 second clip, and it's funny because how set you off you are. Like I can't wait for Hercules to be in a future movie
Bro,
just to see how you're gonna
dude,
react to this guy.
like I said,
I,
if he's gonna be in a future
he's
movie,
going
if
to
he's
be.
gonna go, all right.
He's got
Well,
to
he
be.
is. He is. The motherfucker's gonna gain some weight. He has to gain some weight. He's got to put on some muscle, bro.
He got to look
I
like
mean,
Chris, bro. He got to look like Chris Hemsworth, man.
right.
He
He's
got
got to
to
look. He's got, bro.
or at least
You can't
bigger.
be. Yeah.
At least bigger than Chris.
Dude, you're Hercules, man. You went through the 5 challenges, 7 challenges of the gods. You know what I'm saying?
Who Thor beat swiftly, anyway.
Right. I mean, it's another story. But,
With
I mean,
ease. So that's a power scale issue right there, by the way. That's a big power scale issue immediately in the introduction.
yeah, I mean, you're going against a demigod versus a god. That's already a
Right.
huge power
And
scale.
you just topped hit that demigod's dad in seconds. So
Yeah. I don't know what's gonna happen. Although that Zeus was very kind of unhealthy.
No, yeah, he was very unhealthy. Definitely unzeusly. Actually, no.
You know who he was, right?
Was that Russell Crowe?
It was Russell Crowe.
It was wild seeing him. I was like, dang, it's been a while, Russell. It's not bad though. He did all right for Zeus. I wasn't mad at him.
No, he did good. He did good.
However,
I think he did all right.
In and around those scenes, I'm pretty sure that Thor admitted to eating children at one point in the Dark Ages. So apparently, in there, through dialogue, Thor admits they were like, you used to eat kids? I think Jane said it to him, and he was like, look, it was the Dark Ages. There were some tough times. It was like that. He didn't deny it. So I'm pretty sure, if you pay attention in Thor Love and Thunder, that Thor confirms that he has eaten children at one point. So that's
in the Dark Ages. It was hard times.
In the Dark Ages, he ate some children, bro. Could you imagine?
God. I could.
You could.
I could, man. Taking those poor little kids. You're a god. I mean, you see how he handles the Hulk. Just imagine a little child. Give me that arm. It's gone. Like, big shit.
Those children stood no chance.
No. I mean, dude, if you could throw the Hulk halfway across the room and you pull a child's arm, I can tell you the arm is coming and the child is not.
Stop.
Like, just saying.
Stop. Oh my god. Dude, can you imagine? I would watch that movie too. Can you imagine? It's like a horror movie of a kid trying to survive like the Asgardian child raid where they're like eating
during the Dark Ages.
Oh my god, that'd be terrifying.
It's Almighty Thor. Give me your arm, child.
It just eats it like a turkey leg, like Kano from Mortal Kombat in the '90s. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, dude, I gotta say this. Speaking of Mortal Kombat, Gore is Noob Saibot.
Noob Saibot? Yeah, he can fucking disappear underground.
He's just Noob Saibot. He did the down, down, up move. So, you know that move like where you go, and he goes down and then comes out the top? Like, he did it. He was like right in front of him and just went, whoop.
And he did it multiple times.
Multiple times. Dude, he was spamming it just like that kid who never knew how to play. All he knew was down, down, up will make you jump up and down with Noob Saibot.
Oh, yeah, he's spamming like a motherfucker, bro.
Gore was spamming Noob Saibot, bro. Fuck that guy. Just constantly. Whoop.
I gotta say, though, man, for the record, I wasn't really impressed with how they portrayed Gore in the movie. I think Christian Bale did a good job, but I don't think that they really gave that character enough time to develop, man. They rushed that character way too quickly.
Well, you know what? Let's make a segment here about symbiotes right away. Because let's be real. That's what he's lacking, right? He's lacking the Necro Sword from Null, the god of symbiotes. And from what you told me, you taught me this the other day, is that Gore is the first actual symbiote from someone besides Null. So he's like the first guy to ever get a symbiote, and then he gets the Necro Sword.
Yeah, he was one of the first ones, if not the first, to get the Necro Sword from Null.
And what's crazy, I know this too, is like he's always shrouded in black. Yeah, he's like a pale-skinned, ashen-skinned guy, but he's always shrouded in like the black. It's not like Venom. He doesn't look like Venom in any way. It's just kind of like
it's all shadows.
Yeah, and it's just kind of around him. But it is a symbiote technically. So
well, the shadow creatures are symbiotes. When you look at the sword, I mean when you look at uh, Stormbreaker as it's opening the Bifrost onto Eternity,
mm-hmm.
you could see the hand of the symbiote holding
Yeah.
it, and he was sitting there trying to bust them with the lightning bolt because they were just hanging on. I mean, yes, there were symbiote creatures. Noah has the power to create symbiote creatures, the shadow creatures, right?
That's
But
okay.
he also has the power to control other symbiotes. So Gore, the God Butcher, I'm sure had that power, but they didn't introduce. They gave us a weaker version of Gore, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I feel
They
like
rushed Gore.
if you read the comics, man, you read God Bomb, you read Gore's backstory, he's a very, very strong individual. He's actually one of the only enemies Thor's ever come across that really struck fear into him. And in the movie, they didn't really give Thor the portrayal like he was that scared.
No.
In the comics, he was very scared of Gore.
Terrifying.
Because one, he had the Necro Sword. It's the only sword that can kill a god. And two, he knew how to use it and use it well, and had already had multiple experiences killing multiple other gods, even gods stronger than Thor. So I mean, it was Thor was very scared, man, and yet he still overcame him in the comic, but it wasn't an easy battle. Yeah, he had a lot of help, but it wasn't an easy battle.
Because Thor needed Thors to help him fight. They needed multiple Thors to take down Gore, right?
Right.
So they kind of nod to that, the comic ending as well. There's actually a scene during the emergency call where they show a little panel in a video of the gods actually hanging. And I thought that was really cool. And I was like, that's a direct shout out to the comic. Cause
there's a scene in the movie, man, where they're on the computer and there's multiple different scenes of dead gods.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. And they even have a scene where they're hanging, and I was like, wow, dude, that is straight from the comic. But they kind of downplayed it, you know. They like you said, they downplayed him. He's supposed to be someone like, yo, this dude's running through gods. In the comics, like, he didn't just kill a bunch of low level gods, dude. He killed like a bunch of gods, majority of them. Like there wasn't
he killed gods of all. It didn't matter. Low level god, high level god. You just were the god of that world, that planet. You just had the name God in your name, bro. You were a goner. He just made a vow to kill all gods because in his world they prayed to all those gods, and those gods never provided.
The quick origin of Gore was pretty accurate to the origin of Gore in the comics.
It was.
They did well by using a kid, but it was like all of his people. In the comics, it wasn't just him and his kid out in the desert, and the gods gave up on those two. No, the gods gave up on an entire civilization of people. And with the god we meet, you could see how he would do that because that god's obviously a jerk. Like you get it, you get Gore. He's very relatable. I want to say, and even at the end, redeemed. Some would say. So they downplayed the shit out of him because he was scary. There was points on screen where when you saw him walking up in his robes, he did appear scary to me, the viewer. But Thor was never afraid. Thor didn't seem afraid.
No, he mentioned he was a little scared, but you know, man,
the story
in
of
the comics
Jane interrupted any fear. Like any suspense or stress, there was too much story filling with Jane and being, you know, the mighty Thor and being Lady Thor. And I don't know, it took away from what could have been, I guess, Gore's story. So kind of wish they less love, more thunder, but then it wouldn't be love and thunder, I guess. So
right. It was another thing I want to touch base with is and I'm not too familiar with this character. Is Gore's daughter, the young girl at the end of the film who apparently can shoot these
has the power of eternity, apparently.
Yeah.
Because when she was walking up, if you guys haven't seen Thor: Love and Thunder, pay attention to when the little girl's walking up to her father, and the reflection in the water, she has like this galaxy of like universes in her reflection, and in her eyes you get to see a little bit of it. She has powers. In her eyes, you get to see a little bit of that like galaxy sprinkle. So this character that they're building has to be extremely powerful.
Yeah, she's gonna be very OP, but I'll be honest, man. I'm not sure who she is.
No idea.
I don't know. I mean, I read a lot of Marvel comics, but I'm not familiar with this character. So I will do some research, and I will.
Oh my God, I got boogers in my mustache.
I will do some more research, man, and read up on it. But I'm very interested to know who she is, because I know that there's a lot going on in the MCU, and there's a lot more future movies coming out. But what I was really excited about after the movie was the fact that there will be another Thor movie.
Yeah.
Thor will return. Confirmed that he will return, just like Doctor Strange was confirmed that he will return.
Could be a Mighty Thor.
It could. Well, they're considering Mighty Thor to be Jane Foster.
Right. For those who don't understand, the Mighty Thor is Jane. Thor is fucking Chris. Okay.
Yeah.
Chris.
Hey, Chris Hemsworth, you know the guy. But anyway.
Who you might not know, his brother, who was actually playing Thor in the play. So I don't know if you knew that, but Luke Hemsworth was playing Thor in the little play where Matt Damon was Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the guy playing Thor was actually Luke, Chris's brother. So that's a fun fact, a little trivia, is pretty funny, because you wouldn't notice it if you weren't paying attention. Because Matt Damon you see Matt Damon, you're like, you're fixated on him. So what you might not notice is the guy playing Thor is actually Luke Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth's brother.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I think there's like three of them that act. It's Chris, Luke, and one more, huh?
There was another one. I don't know. I'm not familiar with all the Hemsworths.
Me neither, but anyway.
Something to ask your wife.
Yeah, right. The movie, bro, was solid. I really thought the movie was solid.
Loved it.
I really enjoyed it. They left it open, obviously for another film, and it's been confirmed. I gotta say, man, the only disappointment in the film was that fucking 5-second preview of Hercules. He looks like a weak-ass Hercules.
And the under-representation of power of Gore. I mean, they really... Also, I wanted more Guardians, assholes. Like, I want the movie of Thor in between. I want to see Thor, Pratt. I want to see Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pratt screened together, hating each other throughout the galaxy. That's what I want to see. And they just kind of brushed on it. And that, for me, that was really heartbreaking. Because when you see him leave with the Guardians of the Galaxy and the previous movies, you go, awesome, Thor's with the Guardians. This is
you're thinking Guardians 3 is going to have Thor in it. That's what you're thinking.
Hoping.
Right. I mean, at least that's what I thought. I was like, hell yeah, Thor's going to be in Guardians 3. But then no, he's in Love and Thunder.
Leaving the Guardians and Love and Thunder.
Leaving the Guardians,
at the very beginning. Sorry.
Yeah.
I took it personal.
Dude, look, I enjoyed the little bit of time that we had with it, but at the same time,
By the way, you see all the previews of the movie in like the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
that whole scene where he runs through the woods and progresses and works out, that is literally a montage of the movie. It's not like there's not a part where Thor's like, oh, I need to get unfat. Like, it literally was just he's unfat. So
yeah, right.
I was a little disappointed in that too. I did want to see like a fat Thor develop into a healthy Thor. Like by the end of the movie, he's like, all right, I'm back. Like now Gore can't handle me because I'm full swing now. But I loved, how about this? The relationship between Thor, Stormbreaker, and Mjolnir. The
Dude, yeah.
Jealousy. That's
Who
probably the
would have
most.
known how jealous Stormbreaker would have been of Mjolnir? Mjolnir didn't even give a shit.
Yep, didn't care at all. But spoiler: Thor can still hold Mjolnir. That's refreshing to see. But yeah, that was probably more steamy of a relationship than Thor and Jane was actually the relationship between Thor and Stormbreaker. I mean, it was steamy. It's pretty steamy. But okay, this is a gripe, bro. I gotta complain. Jane Foster looked really good for stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
She's taken chemo, confirmed. Hasn't lost one hair. Full head of hair, no problem. No, hasn't even lost color. But let's just take that on like well, maybe she shouldn't have been in chemo. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it should have been staged. Cancer was a really. She didn't look like somebody who died from cancer. I'm just gonna say that.
No.
And then
disappointing. It was. And this is another spoiler. It was a given, man, that she was going to come in and save the day. I mean, think about it. All I could think at that particular moment in that scene where she's laying in a hospital bed, and Thor's like, "No, if you pick up Mjolnir again, he's going to drain your life," and blah blah blah. Well,
and he didn't tell her not to,
because he didn't tell her not to. But I got to say, if you were given the option to die from cancer, or pick up the hammer and fight one last time and go the way you would rather go, what would you choose? I mean, in the moment, I'm pretty sure I probably would have picked that hammer up, man. You know.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. She shouldn't have picked up the fucking hammer. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, he had an army of Thors. Okay, he could have gave anyone that power, but I get it, picking up the hammer. Okay. But with the Guardians of the Galaxy, okay, you've introduced universe size of civilizations. No one knows how to solve cancer. No one can stop cells from stop regenerating throughout the entire fucking galaxy. Thor didn't stumble upon any civilization who was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we cured this thing that we called malalalala." But for you Earthlings, that's cancer. Like there's no cure in the entire universe for cancer.
That's one thing that I wanted to touch on, man. I was telling my wife that. I was like, "You're telling me you come from Asgard, where you're making weapons out of fallen stars, and there's no cure for cancer?"
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like, you can travel the fucking universe. Anywhere in space you want to be, you can travel there.
You can travel time. You can travel time. There's fucking infinity stones, but there's no cure for cancer.
No. And theoretically, we might be introduced to a Jordan Reed who's fucking slacking on cancer development, by the way. There's no hint of that in the movie, but from watching Doctor Strange...
which is another thing we should touch on with Jordan Reed and Doctor Strange. You're the smartest man in the fucking universe, and you die in the first 2 minutes of the movie.
You're the smartest man in the fucking universe, and then you told your enemy your only fucking weapon to beat her. Well, this guy's mouth... If he opens it, you die. Zip, no mouth. You just told a powerful witch. Fucking Jordan Reed. It's a witch. Sorceress. You know this because you have the Sands of Asanti, which apparently stops any fucking magic, and you didn't weaponize. We can't talk about that right now. We're talking about Thor. Okay?
Yeah.
I will talk. I love Doctor Strange, by the way.
There was also a great film, but, I mean... Since we're, talking about it, it was just, you just don't do that. There's whole, like, most movies, have holes in it. Most movies have some fuck ups. You might see a spoon in one scene and then they're eating with a fork in another scene. But bro, really, y'all really fucked that up.
Smartest. Like, that universe must be filled with fucking idiots.
Not just.
By the way, he teleported in. Okay.
Yeah. Teleported in. That's the thing, man. It's not just that movie. But seriously, bro, you used Jane Foster's weakness was cancer, and yes, I'm sure that's what it was in the comics. But guys,
Not in this
we
movie. Of all the things to
how
change,
how can you how can you? I understand cancer in the comic, man. It was written in the fucking '70s or some shit. But bro, really, you come through and you're talking about cancer in a movie where you literally are talking about time travel, infinity stones, and gods, and
shield exists. Yeah.
you can't cure cancer. If a god, sorry, if multiple gods exist, what about the Holy Grail?
What about something like that?
You know, like
Right.
there's got to be something you can drink from and get some fucking eternal life. So you tell me she picks up Mjolnir and gets this extraordinary power, but then it drains her life force. But then Thor can go and give a bunch of kids his power.
They're Asgardian, though. Actually, no, some of them aren't. So does that mean he drained those kids' life forces? The kids that
Right.
weren't Asgardian? Did he
Yeah.
potentially take away some of their life? Thor kills kids, bro. Thor
He ate them in the Dark Ages.
He ate them in the Dark Ages, and he secretly drains their life force now. This dude is like, fucking, dude. I didn't know
He's
that
the
I was gonna
ultimate.
come out of this thinking Thor was a Nazi, but now it all makes sense.
Oh man, he's such a cool Nazi.
He's the coolest. Thor is the coolest Nazi I've ever known. His political
But
views suck, but he saved so many people.
yeah, and weakened so many others.
Luckily, there's no Jews in space. You
Right.
know?
Sorry about that.
That's fucked up.
But right.
By the way, I'm Jewish.
Yeah, I'm Catholic. I know, you know.
Yeah, I'm not Jewish. I know some Jewish people. Jewish people are awesome though. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Except for Shia LaBeouf, that
Anyway.
Jewish guy. He's a wreck, man.
Fuck Shia LaBeouf.
But I think on some points in the movie, I think they could have done a little better. Obviously,
I wasn't too thrilled with. Look, Natalie Portman, awesome, but I wasn't too thrilled with her Jane personally. I don't think she was terrible. I didn't feel in love with her character. I wasn't super excited she was back. It was more of like a, okay, you know.
there was some. Wasn't there some stuff going on with the with her back when? Why is pretty much why they canceled her in the films for a while? Like I'm sure there was some stuff that went down. I can't remember. I haven't researched it. But yeah, it's it's kind of funny that they gave her and Thor this big backstory, and you never knew any of it.
I actually
You
wasn't
know?
too much of a fan of that either. So
No,
in the flashback, he says something and he makes it look really important. He like says something to Mjolnir and he's like, always protect her or some shit. And then fucking Mjolnir gets like a Trinity symbol on it, like it listened to him and made it. He's like, make a promise to me that you'll always protect her. And then Mjolnir makes a little thing on it, and it, I guess, is like protecting her. But that doesn't make fucking sense to me because it kills her.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's one.
That's
That's a problem I have right there. But I think that's kind of funny. So he gets Mjolnir. I guess the sign is that Mjolnir agrees to protect Jane forever. But ironically, Mjolnir kills Jane.
it wasn't. But see, this is my thing. Gore knows she's not Asgardian. So if he was to make Mjolnir make that promise, then he was asking Mjolnir to kill Jane.
I don't think it. I mean, did it have to? Like, did she have to wield it? I mean, it just kind of floats to people, and apparently they do have minds of their own. From what we're learning, there's like semi-sentient weapons. Like, couldn't it just kind of like float around her and do its own thing, or is that magic not there? Uh,
I don't know. It's just weird because
they're
when you
picky
think
with
of
their
it like
magic.
that, it's like, did they did they think about that when they were writing the story?
I don't
Like,
think so. I don't think so at all. But no, that's something that like that scene stood out in that flashback of like the story building of their relationship and how much they meant to each other. The scene that stood out the most when he was talking to Mjolnir, like she went to sleep after a Halloween party, and Thor leans over and goes, "Promise me you'll always protect her." And it fucking zooms in on it, and it gets a fucking symbol like zzz, like Doctor Strange just came on the fucking Thor Mjolnir or whatever. They made it important, but literally Mjolnir is the cause of her death. So it's really just like that whole part didn't make sense to me. It's like they made this rom com idea and then didn't think of their ending and going, okay, well Jane's gonna die like this and die in battle and go to Valhalla. Which, by the way, he saved someone who was like, the battle's over, you're not gonna go to Valhalla. Just saying, when Jane was dying, wasn't the fighting kind of over?
the fighting was over. She was literally laying in eternity on the ground, and
Just
she only
saying.
so and
Maybe
she
your
got
mom's in
accepted in.
Valhalla. That shit cracked me up though.
Yeah,
That shit
yeah.
was hilarious.
That was Sith, bro.
Hmm?
That was Sith that got her arm chopped
Yeah,
off.
yeah, yeah.
That was Sith, who is actually Thor's wife. Just so
And
you guys know.
not yeah,
Um,
but
that's actually Thor's real wife. It's Sith, but um, in a comic he has multiple. You know,
right. And he eats the children.
and yeah, in the Dark Ages.
I don't know. Maybe behind closed doors. Remember, he likes to drain the life force of children. This is a dude. Thor's terrifying. Like if you're a kid, don't hang out around Thor.
No,
And the fact that he
because if he
might
gives
know
you,
what child blood tastes like comparatively, you know, like if there's like a blood pile in the ground and like he went and like that's a 6-year-old boy, you know, I'd be like, what the fuck? That means you've eaten 6-year-old boy. Just saying, that dude's thousands of years old and he may have a lot of knowledge on eating kids.
definitely. I mean, he may have seen worse than that, man. Honestly, I mean, to us, that's like the worst thing you can see is somebody doing something crazy like that. But
Yeah, it's next level.
at the same time, you know, we can't travel space or go to other planets like we would like to. Um, but I can only imagine, man, some of the things that Thor might have seen when you go into Norse mythology, man. It's pretty epic,
Oh,
you
dude,
know.
and imagine like traveling all these different worlds, and you know, like there's so many different cultures everywhere you go. Imagine
Right.
like traveling to a world and like that's the culture, you know. So it's like, yeah, we'll just hang out and chill over here while you eat your children. Pass me
Right.
some. You know, like that might be acceptable in some worlds. You know, we got to
But
be
but
open and accepting here. You know.
right, right. But also, dude, if you're looking, if you think about it, if Thor can go to other worlds, Thor would be the outcast because you have all these civilizations, different civilizations on these worlds, and then all of a sudden he shows up dressed in this blue gold armor with a
Well,
bright red cape,
I mean,
and you're like,
a
who
lot of the gods though, like when we went to the gods' place, like a lot of the gods are dressed kind of fancy, and even Zeus himself, the god of gods, has to make this big appearance and intro. You know, all of them have
yeah,
this like I have to look pretty, I have to be gorgeous, I have to be covered in gold. So he's an
hmm
outcast in whatever world he lands in, but not to their gods. He still looks
no,
the part of a god,
oh,
very much.
definitely. But I'm just saying, you
I
know,
loved his outfit, by the way. He looked dope.
I did. Yeah, I like the outfit too.
I wanted him with his
Um,
mask on more. His mask was sick, but whatever.
Yeah, overall, man, I enjoyed the movie. I think it was good.
I like the movie
Um,
too. Now here's the question though: would you put it on the shit list?
um, Thor: Love and Thunder. Would I put it on the shit list? Uh,
But yeah, the shit list is a reference to what we would call definitely watchable movies that you should
Yeah,
definitely watch.
yeah.
So is Thor: Love and Thunder one of those? Like, dude, you have to go see this movie.
Very true. That's the shit list. And by the way, it's called the shit as in CHIT. That's our last name. So it's the shit list. You know, because we're the shit.
It's a
So
it's a pun.
just just to clarify, yes, I would put that on the shit list.
Okay, so you're telling your
It's
homies to go see it.
yes, it's a good film. I recommend it. If you like comic book genre movies, if you're a Thor fan, MCU fan, go see the movie, man. If you've
It's
read
not
the
bad.
Thor comics, go see the film. Tell us what you think about it. Give us your opinion in the comments because this is this is serious. This people critics need to understand the importance of criticizing these films,
Right.
and
Which,
that
by the
way,
way, yeah, we love it, but there's quite a bit of gripes. We do not like just a quick rundown. We're not impressed with the portrayal of Gore. Wish Gore was more
no,
powerful. Uh,
yeah,
the mixture of the story of Gore and Jane seemed to kind of dilute. Um, there's more Guardians. The introduction to Guardians, it kind of hurt a little bit because it was so
they
short.
left too much time unanswered.
Right.
And I mean, unless they're going to make a whole film based off of what happened during that time, great, fill in the gap. But when you open a new film, with this kind of setting, then what you're doing is you're leaving that gap open. Now you're
And
leaving the
you're saying
audience
we're not
to
even going to tell you. You
yeah,
you just get like a tease of everything you wanted. But
yeah,
besides all that, and there's other stuff we could gripe about on. Besides all that, we did enjoy the movie, and I too would say, yeah, it's worth a sit down. It's definitely wouldn't be bad bringing the kids to it. However, Zeus does talk about orgies, so just be prepared to have an explanation of what an orgy is, and make sure it's something a kid wouldn't want to do, so your kids don't say, "Mom, I want to go to an orgy." So prepare for that. Um,
yeah, yeah,
if you're one of those people who are sensitive about gay stuff, there's a decent amount of gay stuff, but it's really not bad. I don't really care. Um, I'm, there was a lot of it though. I'm personally
yeah.
one of those people like I'm surrounded by nieces and nephews. I'm surrounded by kids. So when I see movies like these and I got a kid with me, it's weird explaining why so many girls are kissing girls and why so many boys are kissing boys. It's random. It's a little much. But I don't mind that Korg is a complete male species and they have to go to the lava beds to rock. To literally rock it on.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't mind that Valkyrie is lesbian. I don't care. But it's just kind of it's weird when you have kids there and it's like, okay, dude, we're like 5, 6 years old. I do not want to talk about this. I just want to watch Thor. I don't watch some kids
Yeah.
beat up some shadow creatures.
Yeah,
Um,
it is kind of disappointing when you think of it on that aspect. Like, look, man, we understand, sexuality and gender and all that sort of shit, but do you really got to show it to the children? This is a PG-13 movie, which is why you did not get the full wrath of Gore the God
yeah,
Butcher.
it would have been a rated
They,
R movie for sure.
if you guys want to see the
And I would
fear
totally
Gore
watch.
should have had,
Yeah.
and the power that Gore should have had, then go read Gore and God Bomb.
Who's that?
Um,
Who's that YouTuber that you watch? Who's that? The Russian guy.
uh, um,
There's a guy who does really, really good video breakdowns of these. So if you're not one of those people who can really get into comics and doesn't like reading them, I don't mind personally. It has to be a really captivating story. But they got plenty of YouTubers out there who do like video breakdowns of God Bomb and the basically Gore's story and what Thor and the comics actually had to face. It's a really cool story. Thor's scared as fuck. Gore's a lot more intimidating. He's
he's
terrifying.
called he's called the Russian comic book geek.
The Russian comic book geek has awesome videos for like cinematic comic breakdowns. So if that's something you're into, check that out. Check that guy out. And yeah, that's about it, man.
Yeah, he's.
Uh,
If you haven't seen the Wrestling Comic Book Geek, man, highly recommend him. He does. He's got.
if you made it this long into the video, thank you. It's just a long talk about Thor. And if you found our talk interesting enough to stick around to this point, I really appreciate that and would absolutely love some recommendations on what shows or movies me and my cousin can do next, what we can talk about. And everything after this point, we're pretty much going to be talking about comics and, I don't know, maybe the boys or whatever. But as far as Thor, Love and Thunder, that basically sums up everything. The talk of Thor is basically over past this point. But if you'd like to stick around, please go ahead. Please comment suggestions. We're totally looking forward to that.
He really goes into good detail. He has great audio. I mean, he's the real deal when it comes to reading comic books the way they should be read. Honestly,
well, it's actually like he doesn't really. He turns it into a movie, which is like if you're not gonna read a comic, finding somebody like that's pretty important. Like if you want to know the story without having to go sift through and find the book and read the issues, which can be tiresome, dude. If you don't have access to comic books,
and I'll be honest with you, man,
YouTube.
for somebody who's an avid comic book reader, it's just like any novel you would pick up, right? You can have a great artist, but even great artists make shitty books. I mean, and it's the same in the comic book world. There's so many issues of Thor, right? And there's some issues that only ran for a few months because it just either the artwork sucked or the story sucked. I mean, it all depends on who these guys put on these books to work on them. I mean, if you got somebody like Stan Lee, Ditko, somebody like the originals working on it, it's guaranteed to be good. Nowadays, you have, a lot of like Silva, and you have Campbell, you have McFarlane, there are a lot of great artists out there, but they're not working on everything, and they're human, man. Sometimes they have bad work. That's just the bottom line of things. You're gonna get into a comic one day. You might read Wolverine and you love Wolverine, and then you pick up Wolverine 121 and you're like, man, what the fuck is this? Because it's a whole complete different artist. It's a whole complete different penciler. It's a whole complete different author. It's just completely different, and
which,
you may or may not like it.
All of those people aren't necessarily like it's. You could have the best artist in the world, and you could have a terrible writer, and you could have something that's visually stunning, but then when you read it, it's uncaptivating. So
exactly, and when you pick up a comic, it can be like that, and just know that. But if you go and read up on some material, you want recommendations, feel free to ask. We'll definitely give you some recommendations. But just know when you go and do some research, it might not be what you're looking for. You might get through one issue and be like, man, this guy really did a lot of work because I couldn't make it through the first fucking issue.
Yep, it's it does get like that. But awesomely for Marvel movies and anything like that, Marvel shows. We do know a decent amount of comics. My cousin here knows a lot about comics. So as far as like original backgrounds and stuff, we're going to have most of that covered. So any Marvel movies that come out, we're definitely a good people to review if you want to see if you actually want to watch it, or if you're a comic book fan and see how it compares. We almost every time when we talk about a movie or a show, we talk about the difference. Well, in the comic it did this. Like we love The Boys. And The Boys show and the comic is so insanely different, and we're actually relieved by it in most ways, because The Boys comic we didn't really like, but we
art was horrible.
Yeah, we both got stuck. I think I got stuck on like the third issue and was like, I'm done. I wasn't captivated. But the show, fully different thing. Stories completely all twisted up. It doesn't follow it at all. But the show's amazing.
when you're reading a comic book, all right, and this may not be for everybody, but for me, when I'm reading a comic book, I I like good artwork. Comic books are artwork, okay?
Definitely. Yeah.
So if you're gonna read a comic, you need to have good artwork. If you and the boys just did not have that for me. I
It was
thought the
gritty.
artist, I thought it was really gritty. It it wasn't it wasn't it
They
didn't
went for
draw you in,
they went for like a
and
dark drawing style, and it didn't quite make it.
no, and look, man, for the publishing company, that's kind of their style. Um, but for me, I like different styles. I've even read some comics, man, that were water paints and were better, and the stories were great, and even the water paint texture wasn't so bad to read through. Um, but the boys, I just felt like, man, it was it had a great concept, and I'm glad somebody decided
Amazing
to pick
concept.
that up. I'm glad somebody picked it up and made something
Actually,
better.
there's I tell you this all the time. There's only one gripe I have about the boys show, and it's doing the same thing that the damn comic would do that pissed me off. So if you ever get into the boys and reading their comics, they talk about these heroes that they take down, and it's more of like side stories of like how they did it, and it's just like a panel long. Whereas like I want to see the whole step. So like Huey and capturing Translucent, killing Translucent. I want a whole show of boys capturing different superheroes and them having to get creative and MacGyvering ways to kill each one. Like I would
Hmm.
watch that show, just that show alone, just the boys taking out heroes. It's just a group of dudes, and that's all they do is take out heroes. Um,
Yeah,
but
that would
I,
be pretty dope.
but yeah, I love the boys. I love how they're going. I love the show. Um, but the comic book, not so much. I couldn't really get into it. But I
Yeah, it just wasn't visually great. It didn't have a. To me, the story was really slow. And guys,
just
I mean,
really hard in comics. A slow
yeah,
story is
it's
painful.
a slow story, and like I like stories that lead with action, and continue. But they tried to do more of a straight story and lead up to the action, and that's fine, and it works great for certain stories. But but to be
If you're
honest,
into it,
man,
if you like
right?
that build up,
And but to be honest with you, man, I really feel like, and I don't speak for everybody when I say this, but I really feel like for a lot of people, the first thing they notice when they go in and read a comic is the artwork. It's the initial draw-in point for the reader, and I think the story for the boys was a great story. I haven't read the comics all the way through because I lost interest due to the artwork, but somebody did make it through the comics, obviously, and they liked it, and they made a show out of it. So I think I think for
it's
some people
improvable.
they can push through that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I I think, man, if you're an artist, put everything you got into it. I mean, if the studio's telling you we want this gritty comic and the grittiness of that artwork's just not going with the story, then don't do it.
Change
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, like make a judgment call. I mean, seriously, because I feel like it was a very popular comic due to the story, but the artwork sucked. So for the reader, guys, you know how grueling it is to make it through a comic book where the artwork's shit, and you have a good story, but you have horrible artwork to look at to try to fill the gaps. You know what I
It's
mean?
just bad for the imagination. Yeah. Which, by the
Yeah,
way,
just
a lot of Thor comics are pretty good, but there's some bombs out there. There's
oh, definitely,
the, there's a lot of comics that have. It doesn't matter which hero you pick, which villain you pick. There's good and bad comics of all of them, and finding them is the thing. But God Butcher is definitely one of those comics out there that's definitely worth looking into and knowing the story for.
definitely.
Just to bring it full circle, the God Butcher comics and the God Boom,
God Bomb, yeah.
God Bomb,
And we'll we'll
God Bomb.
put uh we'll put a link in the description to the Russian comic book geek. Go check that guy out, man. He's
We'll put the Thor
really,
video in there.
yeah, he's really talented. But yeah, he did one on the God Butcher, so go check it out. But anyway, I'm Charlie Shit. This is my cousin Matt Shit, and this is the Shit Show. So this is our first video, and we plan to do some more. So stay tuned, guys.
All right, y'all. Until next time.